Titanic an hour 45 minutes in. That's when they lost contact, and that is the area, they said, in which it's consistent with that lowering. And of course, as you approach those deeper levels, you are talking about an incredible amount of pressure, an incredible amount of stress that is going up against this ship as it's going down. And we're talking about 110 times the pressure of what is here above the surface. And so it's just really unforgiving when you're talking about that. And I think back to the warnings from a former employee back in 2018, who in court documents was talking about this non-destructive test that he wanted the company to go through. And he wanted that because he said that the carbon fiber, as it reached those levels, deeper and deeper, dive after dive, that it would create bigger and bigger cracks and eventually potentially lead to something like this.
And that was part of his concern, Gio, that this was essentially an experimental vehicle. It was not certified by international bodies, so there was some concern over the materials that made it. But Gio, we're also hearing from the company, right? They're talking about the 5 people on board and the lives lost.
That's right. They did release this statement here, Whit, and it says, "We now believe that our CEO, Stockton Rush, Shahzada Dawood and his son, Suleiman Dawood, Hamish Harding, and P.H. Narjouleh have sadly been lost." And I got to tell you, P.H. Narjouleh, he is the foremost expert on the Titanic. They call him Mr. Titanic around the world. He is the person with the most experience down at the Titanic site and knew so much about it. So he would have been such an expert. And so when you look at him going down there in this vehicle, that says a lot. And we're looking at that. But P.H. Narjouleh, a legendary explorer here. And so the company, of course, is saying that these men were true explorers who shared a distinct spirit of adventure and a deep passion for exploring and protecting the world's oceans.
All right, Gio, thank you. Again, it was a remotely operated vehicle managed by the French that was able to discover this debris field, and it was first found about 1,600 feet off the bow of the Titanic. They found the nose cone outside of a pressure hull. Then they found a larger debris field, and the first indication that there was that catastrophic event, they also found a second smaller debris field. And officials said as soon as they were able to analyze that and understand what it was that they were seeing, they then notified the families of the 5 people on board. We do have a very special guest joining us to help us understand more about all of this. Bob Ballard, a renowned oceanographer and explorer, is joining us right now. Bob, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. I understand, obviously you were part of the mission that discovered the Titanic, and you've been down there, I'm being told, on about 150 dives to the wreckage. Just want to get your take on the news that we're hearing breaking right now.
Well, I didn't make that many dives. I made the first 12 that were ever made on the Titanic, and then I went back with remotely operated vehicles last time in 2004. But yes, it's very tragic what happened. I know the people that passed away. I've known Stockton for 20 years, and I know this was his dream. So my heart goes out to he and his family and the families of all the people who lost loved ones. This tragic event more than likely took place on Sunday when they lost connection with the surface. More than likely, they, as they were experiencing difficulties, began to drop their weights and ascend to the surface. They never made it. So if you're on your way up and you're buoyant and you don't make it, it's a catastrophic implosion. And I don't think people can appreciate the amazing energy involved in the destructive process of an implosion. I've explored the Thresher and the Scorpion, which were 2 U.S. submarines. In the case of the Scorpion, ended up at a similar depth, and it just takes and literally shreds everything. So it's extremely powerful, and then that's what they'll be doing right now. They're now below the circulation system of the ocean in that area, so they'll do a systematic mapping. Those ROVs can remain. I have one just like it, the one over my shoulder. Hercules is on my ship. In fact, you can see in the image, I'm in my command center. My ship's at sea right now. Unfortunately, we were unable to help because we're in the Pacific Ocean, but it's a very similar technology, and the beauty of these remotely operated vehicles is they can stay down days and days and days. So they'll be mapping all through the night and into the next day until they believe they've done